Hi everybody, this is Copic from the Netherlands. Thanks for trying this video. This is my first chess video and I'm planning to do much more. And in this video I will give you a nice little game I played in the internal competition of my Eindhoven Chess Club. The purpose of this video is to force myself to do a proper analysis of my games, get it communicated to you in a simple and clear way, and get your feedback, both on the game, but also especially on the video making. I have some nice ideas on what I want to broadcast to you, but first I need my video making to be right, so your help would be much appreciated. So, let's start with the game. So it's a Queen's Indians opening. By the way, my rating is 1780. I have the ambition to go to 1900, but it's not progressing that well. So also these games broadcasting would be good to get my game improved. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, nothing special so far, b6, g3, bishop b7, bishop g2, bishop e7, castle kingside, knight c3, d5, c takes d, e takes d. So far it's a pretty standard Queen's Indian, and black develops the bishop to f4, and my knight e4 was the first out of book move, although I could still find several games of high rated players in the database. It's maybe funny to note that Karpov had the same position with black in 1972, however he had one tempo more, as white first played bishop d2 earlier in the game and then later he moved it to f4. So knight b5, white puts pressure on c7, a field that I'm happy to defend with knight a6. This is a good field for the knight, as later in the game it could go to c5, b4, exploiting the pawn majority that black has on the queen side. So black continues to put pressure on c7, also puts the rook on a half open file, and yeah, black has a couple of ways to defend c7. Most natural ways of course are c6 or c5, and the latter is most active in the fight for the initiative, so that's the move that I played. Black is of course not afraid to get the hanging pawns. So for instance, if d takes c, b takes c, black has a very strong center and yeah, active play. But white does not play d takes c. White plays a suboptimal move here with b3. I think he played it to protect black from playing c5, c4, but the drawback of this move is of course that it creates holes on the black squares on the queen side, which will prove decisive later in the game. So I play rook e8, putting the rook on the half open file. White plays the logical move knight e5, gaining more space on the king side, and here I decided to take on d4 to further activate my dark squared bishop on e7, which is pretty strong and has a lot of activity. So white takes back with the knight takes d4. Maybe also show that after queen takes d4, of course black can win a tempo with bishop c5, and it's also difficult to find a square for the queen. For instance, already if white plays queen d1, then black has g5 and winning material, because if the bishop on f4 moves, the knight on e5 is hanging, and for instance if white plays bishop e4, then black has g takes f4, and still two pieces are hanging for white and will be losing. So queen d1 is not possible, so he has to play something like queen a1, And then black has the simple d4, gaining space and having a comfortable position with active pieces. Not winning, of course, but he has a good game. So going back, white is taking with the knight, and black exploits the weak dark squares on the queen side, playing bishop a3. And now instead of moving the attacked rook on c1, white is playing active and attacking the queen. Black plays queen's f6, leaving the d5 square undefended. But of course the rook is still attacked at c1. Still, the computer recommends this as the best try for white. So for instance, queen takes d5. Oh, for instance, queen takes d5, bishop takes c1, rook takes c1 with an unclear position. However, this is not what white is playing. White is making a blunder by overplaying the chase of the black queen, and he plays a knight g4. Black now has the very simple answer of queen e6, leaving 3 pieces of black, the knight on g4, the knight on c6 and the rook on c1 attacked. So seemingly not possible to defend this for white. White seems to find the only move to still get out of this relatively okay, because he plays bishop h3 and now threatening the discovered check. So he's threatening knight h6, and then it looks like black will lose the queen. So giving a variation, for instance, stepping out of the check, king h8, then white has knight d4 attacking the queen, so the queen has to move, for instance, to d7, and then after rook c2, all 3 pieces for white are safe. So bishop h3, looks like everything is okay now. But I didn't play this. Instead of stepping out of the check with king h8, black had a very nice move, sacrificing the queen for rook and 2 light pieces by playing bishop c1. This move had to be calculated accurately, because after trading a lot of pieces, white has 2 forced moves that required concrete counter moves. So only move for white, of course, is knight h6, check, queen takes, bishop takes, and then bishop takes h6. Now, as calculation is not my strongest skill, I was happy that before playing bishop c1 on the 17th move, I calculated this position. And the chess book that I recently read learned me that when calculating tactics, you always have to calculate 1 move further than the reach of the combination. And in this case I saw that white could play queen takes d5, but black then has a very strong reply of knight b4, attacking the queen and pinning the knight on c6. So after white is moving the queen, black will be winning the piece on c6 and winning the game. So this is not what white played, but white had another move that was pretty annoying and was played in the game, which was bishop d7. And as there are no squares for the black rook, it looks like black is forced to play the rook to f8, and then white can follow up with knight e7 and has some initiative. However, in my calculation I found another move which was a strong answer on bishop d7, and this move is neglecting that the rook on e8 is attacked, and it is knight c3. So white is moving the queen away, and then I have knight e2, check, king moves up to g2, walking into the diagonal of the white squared bishop on b7. And now black has the very strong move d4, giving up the exchange but unleashing the bishop on b7, very strong diagonal, and threatening to progress with the d-pawn. So white takes the exchange, rook times e8. And when I played this move, I saw that d4, I saw that white could close the diagonal with f3, but then I had planned to play knight c3 with the twofold threat. First of all, to enter on e2 with a check and win the queen on c2, and secondly, the knight on c3 is blocking the defense of the white queen, so I was threatening to win the knight also on c6. So two threats, and when I started to grab the knight to take it to c3, I was shocked because I saw that white still has a reply. He has the resource of knight takes d4, defending the e2 square and going away from the attacked square on c6. So luckily for me, the blockading idea was also possible with the other knight, and I saw this just in time. So after f3, it was possible to play knight c5. So still blocking the knight on c6, having it unattended. Black here of course has b4, not played in the game, but for b4 I had planned to play d3, queen c4, bishop a6, and the queen has to move, and then the strong d-pawn and the strong diagonals of the bishops will do the job. Instead of b4, white was playing knight b4, and because now d4 is not attacked anymore by the white knight, this was the time to play knight c3, threatening to penetrate with rook e2 and rook e3. Black played queen f5 in a desperate attempt for counterplay, but this was already too late. So it followed g6, queen f6, bishop g7. Here white played queen d6 in an already lost position, and this left me the chance for a very elegant final move, bishop e5, trapping the queen as there are no squares left, and white resigned. So I was very happy with this game, for sure my best game of the season, and probably one of my favorites all time, especially because I almost never sacrifice material. In this game I could sacrifice a queen, although for multiple pieces in return, and I sacrificed the exchange. So this was my first video, meant for practicing how to do this and get your feedback. So you would make me very happy by submitting what you think of the game, and especially how I could improve my videos. In the near future I plan to submit many more games, also games where I terribly lost, and where I want to share my mistakes and my learnings with you. So thank you for watching, and please feedback. Bye.